Good morning, Unity on the River. We're going to start the first day of Advent with the first Noel, with a special verse at the end, just for us Unitics. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 3, 4. First Noel, the angels did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields where they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Take a breath. Come, come down to the river, down to the sweet river shore. There you will find a place so divine, where the people are praising the Lord. 1, 2, 3, we're gonna sing. Down by the river, we'll sing. Down by the river, we're gonna sing. Down by the river, in a church by the river, we praise the Lord and we dance. Down by the river, we dance with each other. Down by the river, we know how to dance. Down by the river, in a church by the river, we praise the Lord and we laugh. Down by the river, we laugh together. Down by the river, we know how to laugh. Down by the river, in the church by the river, we praise the Lord and we cry. Oh, we know river. We pray together. It's affirmative prayer every day in unity. In the church by the river, we praise the Lord and we celebrate. Down by the river, we celebrate the presence. Down by the river, we surely celebrate. Down by the river, in the church by the river, we praise the Lord. Tell us how to do it, Brian. Come on now. Come on. So please stand as you are able and join us in singing as we hold hands, Surely the Presence.
Around us, I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power.
Let us pray. Surely the presence of the Lord is here because each and every one of you is here, the embodiment of the divine, God made visible. And today we come together to celebrate the beginning of the Advent season, of Christmas time, that time where we acknowledge the awakening of the Christ within each and every one of us. And today, on that first Sunday of Advent, we recognize faith. And as we light that first candle for faith, we affirm that through faith, we are centered and guided every step of every day. Our faith is more than a passive state of being. It is the active energy that empowers our thoughts and brings them into manifestation. We're always expressing faith in something, either spiritual truth or illusion. But today we are grateful for the growing awareness that allows us to recognize where we are placing our faith and to make conscious, creative choices every day. Shall I find myself giving faith to thoughts of lack or limitation? I shift my focus to the spiritual substance that can accomplish all things. It is by embracing this understanding of faith that we create a new consciousness, choice by choice. Today, we affirm through faith, I am centered, and guided every step of every day. Through faith, I am centered and guided every step of every day. Let us affirm that out loud together. Through faith, I am centered and guided every step of every day. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen and amen. You may be seated. Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the River. Thank you for coming out on this rainy day to help launch us into the season of Advent. And before we go any further, I want to thank any of the volunteers who were here over the course of the weekend to help begin our Christmas decorations. Thank you so much for bringing the light, figuratively and literally, to our sanctuary. That prayer that I just shared was a reading from World of Hope. It's a booklet that Unity publishes for Advent, and you can pick up a free copy of this in the bookstore, I believe, if you want to take home some readings with you. If you're not convinced yet, there's an article in here that I wrote. Just saying, there's, a little extra something to encourage you to grab one of these or even grab an extra one for a friend to share. And as we continue today's service, honored and thrilled to share the stage today with Meg and this music team, and also with Michelle, who's our facilitator. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the River, everyone. Happy beginning of December. Let's say hi to our streamers. Glad to have them with us. And a reminder that you can watch our services on YouTube at any time. And you can also listen to previous talks on your smartphone with the SoundCloud app. And that just includes the talks, so it's a great way to repeat what you might have heard on some Sunday. We'd like to welcome anyone who is visiting with us for the first time. If you could please raise your hand. Anybody? Oh, okay. Oh, a baby. Oh, welcome. Jay's baby and his wife. That's awesome. Well, I think they should have a flower to take home. Anybody else that's new? Okay, well, we welcome you today. What's the baby's name? Becca. That's so sweet. Okay, great. Well, I guess that would entitle you to 10% off since you have a flower in the bookstore. Unity on the River is a center of celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. Please hold these truths in your heart as we say together our mission and vision statement. Together, our mission: we are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And our vision: centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. Few announcements for you. Guess what time it is? Who's got one? Okay, great. So we're collecting these lovely little stuffed animals until next Sunday. Next Sunday is December 9th already. So try to bring them in during the week or next Sunday to bring in an animal that, any kind of stuffed animal you'd like, that we can bring to a local nursing rehab center. And there are still a few ornaments/gift ideas for children in the community on our giving tree in hospitality. Make sure you have your gifts back here by next Sunday, the 9th, unwrapped, and talk to Rebecca Hale from Children's Church if you have any questions. This Friday, December 7th, we'll have a workshop called Embodying Soul Dance with Corey McLaughlin. And it's transformational dance. It starts at 7 p.m. You can register online for $15 or it's $20 at the door. And then our holiday concert will be a little bit different this year. We're having the Overtones, an a cappella group that features our very own Peter Stringham. He said they're really on fire right now, so you want to come and see them. We have tickets for sale in the bookstore, and that's on Friday, December 14th. Now's the time in our service where we greet one another with love, either a hug or a handshake. I invite you to say, I see you. I see your magnificence. I see the Christ presence in you. I see the divine. Namaste.
Before I introduce Lisa, I'd like to remind you to come on Wednesday. We have a special guest on Wednesday at our Samadhi. Manny Muros will be talking to us about his new beautiful book. What is it called, Manny? It's The Other Side of Me. So come and chant and sing with us, and also hear Manny talk about his book. And so now it's Lisa Plumley and her beautiful song that we all know so well, Amazing Grace.
Praise to God. This is where I go when things get a little tough in here and out there. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I was lost, but now I'm found. Ooh, I was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve all year long. How precious, dear, that grace appeared the hour I first believed. To that choir. Through many, many dangers, all the toils and the snares, we've already come. Ooh, well, it's grace that's brought me through it all. Thus far, you know it's grace, y'all. And it's grace gonna lead me home. Everybody. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul. Choir.
And the band. Thank you,
Lisa
band.
Plumley.
So that's my second favorite rendition of that song. No one will top Aretha Franklin, but that's a close second. So here we are. It's December 2nd, and it's Christmas time. We're here again, and the thing I really kind of love about Christmas is that it happens every year, yet it doesn't seem to get old. You know, at least for me. People keep telling me I'm still young. I don't know about all that, but it kind of retains, I think, a certain sense of something almost unnameable, whether it be love or joy or tenderness or kindness or compassion, whatever it is that this season evokes in us. As a minister, it's particularly interesting because, I mean, especially as a minister in unity, because you can only give a metaphysical interpretation of a Christmas story so many times. You know, so Christmas and Easter, those holy holidays, as a minister, when they roll around, like right about October-ish, we start to get a little nervous. Like, what are we going to say this year that we haven't said before about the Christmas story, about the characters, about everything? But the truth I know is that you can't say it enough times, because we always need the reminders. We always need to revisit things. So this Advent season, and someone shared on Facebook, after all these years, I still don't know what Advent means. So Advent is really, it's a tradition that comes out of the Christian church, this time of waiting for the nativity, waiting for the birth, waiting for that moment that we honor the birth of Jesus. And it's always fascinating for those of us who are a bit of, like, you know, Bible and history geeks, who kind of maybe get a little bit disillusioned around this year because we go like, oh, we're getting ready to celebrate the birth of Jesus on December 25th, and he really wasn't born then. Did you know that? You know, if you dig deep into the history, you realize Jesus was probably born around springtime. Can you imagine celebrating Christmas in April? That would be a little weird, right? But here we are, nonetheless. So for me, again, even in spite of all the historicity, the reasons why we celebrate something erroneous times and dates or whatever, the intention behind it never goes away. This first Sunday of Advent traditionally is a Sunday where we acknowledge hope. But unity, we just can't leave well enough alone. And in unity, we say about hope is that it ain't good enough. Because hope is traditionally thought of as this kind of wishy-washy dream scenario that maybe sometime in the future something will happen. And unity traditionally says that's not enough. You need faith. Faith is a knowing beyond knowing. Faith is a divine aspect of who we are. Faith is the certainty that as divine beings, that which we hold in intention will come to pass. So hope's not enough. Which is why in that reading, that booklet, it was about faith. It wasn't about hope. Interestingly enough, though, I kind of like hope. I like hope a lot because I don't know about you, but sometimes I can't find my faith. Sometimes faith is hard to find. Sometimes things happen in our lives that shake us so much that we momentarily kind of lose our way when it comes to finding faith. So what do? I think we turn to hope. Because hope's easier to grasp onto. Hope is easier to say, even if we don't necessarily mean it or think or believe it, that it can happen. We can still come up with a vision of something down the road. We can still imagine a different outcome. We can hope. And hope is an integral part of our Christmas story. So over the next 4 weeks in Christmas Eve, I'm going to be sharing aspects of this story. And today I want to start at the end of the story. I want to start at the end. Because if I started at the beginning, like we'd be celebrating the birth today, and then I wouldn't have anything to say on Christmas Eve. So we can start at the end and kind of work our way backwards a little bit, if that makes sense. So bear with me. Today I want to start with an event in the Christmas story that happened after the birth. And that was a visit by the Magi, the wise men, who, even though we traditionally put in the whole nativity crest scene, they weren't at the birth. So that's the first lie about this whole story right here. They weren't at the birth. They came after. It might have been a matter of weeks, months, or even years. But they showed up looking for Jesus. So let me read a little passage here from Matthew, book of Matthew chapter 2. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men, learned from them the exact time that the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. And on entering the house, not the manger, the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother and knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. The part of this story I want to bring to your attention is what Herod did after the wise men came and said, "We're looking for the king." And Herod was like, "Well, you found him. I'm the king." And the reason why it says he was frightened and all Jerusalem with him was that he was afraid that there may be someone trying to stage a coup. And all of Jerusalem was frightened because they knew that if Herod was going to be this afraid, good things were not going to happen afterwards. And we'll come back to that part of the story a little bit later. But what Herod did was he gathered the chief priests and the scribes, and they shared with him this prophecy that was written. "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers, for from you shall come a ruler who's to shepherd my people of Israel." Herod went to the scriptures and read a prophecy that over time the Christian church has assigned to Jesus. When you read a lot of these birth narratives, especially in Matthew and in Luke, you'll see references to a lot of prophecies. Here's another one from Isaiah. "Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." This one you might recognize from Isaiah 9. "For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given. The government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Here's a third one from the book of Micah. "But you, O Bethlehem, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth from me one who is to be ruler in Israel." It's probably the one Herod read. Here's the fourth one from Hosea. "When Israel was a child, I loved him and called him out of Egypt as my son." I'll come back to that one in a second. All these prophecies that were written hundreds and hundreds of years ago that they believed were about Jesus. So here's one of these like Bible geek things that I warned you might be happening. These prophecies were not written about Jesus. See, what happened in the early church after Jesus was crucified was that the early church was in a shambles. They didn't understand what had happened. They thought this guy was going to be their liberator, their Messiah. And when that didn't happen in the earthly visible realm, they needed an answer. And then they thought, well, maybe it wasn't about a political liberation. Maybe it was about a spiritual liberation because of all these teachings that he shared with us to transform ourselves and the world. Maybe if we go back in the scriptures, we can find some proof of that. And they went back and they found some of this stuff that spoke about someone who would be this leader and this liberator. But here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. These writings were never about Jesus. These writings occurred at and around the time the children of Israel, hundreds of years ago, were in exile in Babylon. See, the children of Israel came and they had their kingdom and all was good. And then all of a sudden, this empire from Assyria, the Babylons, they came in, they invaded, they took over, they took people back in exile. And again, they were in shambles. They didn't know what to do. We were supposed to be God's chosen people, but look at where we are now. And the prophets who were with them at the time sought to inspire hope, sought to give them something to hold on to, sought to inspire in them a vision of returning to the homeland, a vision of someone who would lead them there, who would be their liberator. All these prophecies that were placed on Jesus' mantle were really created to inspire hope hundreds and hundreds of years before. Hope that would come to pass. The children of Israel would eventually get out of captivity and return to Israel and reestablish their city. Hope served a very clear purpose at that time. So as you know, in Unity, anytime we read the Bible again, it's a metaphysical approach we take. We kind of don't worry so much about, hey, did this happen? Did this not happen? Was this a true telling? Was this not a true telling? Should we take it literally or not literally? No, we kind of step behind all that noise and ask ourselves, what does this story, what does this represent in my own spiritual growth, my own spiritual development? And here's the good thing about what prophets. Prophets were the people who kind of, they were like the voice of God back in the day. They were the ones who reminded people of their connection to God. They were the only people who were allowed to tell the kings, you kind of messed up, and keep their heads on their shoulders. Because the prophets and the priests were the only ones the kings would listen to, because they were the direct line to God. And so it goes within us. When we hear about prophets in a Bible story, what it's saying and reminding us is that we have that one-on-one connection and inspiration of spirit within us. We don't need to go look anywhere else for it. We don't need to ask the priest. We don't need to ask the minister. That doesn't mean you don't come to church and listen. It just means that I am not the one. You are the one within. When you need that inspiration, when you need that hope, when you need the true voice of the divine within you, you are your own prophet. So remember that whenever you read a passage. The prophets that I just mentioned, Isaiah, Micah, and Hosea, all these names represent within us our higher I am consciousness, the divine consciousness within us. That's who we are. And our journey, our ever present continual journey, is remembering that. And when that becomes too tough to remember, let us lay back into hope. The hope that one day it will get better. They will get better. I will be better. The hope that one day, when my buttons push, it doesn't fire off any crazy signals that send me crazy. Let us hold the hope that one day we realize the true abundance of this planet and everyone is taken care of. The hope that one day we recognize the value and the beauty of this planet and we actually take care of it. These are hopes. And they can point us in the right direction, kind of like the star that pointed the wise men to where they were going. Hope sometimes points us to that deeper faith, knowing that whatever I hope for, it is the Christ within me that gets me there. I don't hope blindly, thinking someone else is going to fix it. I eventually come to a place of deep understanding faith that is divine within me, that empowers me, strengthens me, comforts me, guides me, allows me to be the fullness of the divine that I am. Hope points. Faith supplies. So this is the point that we can learn from this story. Let's go back to Matthew. So after the wise men found the babe and gave their gifts, they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod. They left for their own country by another road. And after they had left, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod, to fulfill that prophecy that I read earlier. Out of Egypt I have called my son. This is an interesting time here in our country as we see the news and the headlines, and regardless of where you stand on a lot of issues, there might be some memes that you see coming up around Christmas time and you saw earlier that speak of Jesus and his family as immigrants. This is why we tell that story. They went to another country where they were able to live in peace and eventually return to their homeland. When people ask or wonder or make the case for the moral imperative of a welcoming, open immigration policy, I say it goes beyond that. It's a spiritual imperative. It's a spiritual imperative because of stories like this. Can you imagine where we would be if when Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus went to Egypt, they were not welcome? And they were saying, "Go back home." We might not be standing here today. We might not have been in a place where we could have these teachings that could transform ourselves, that continually transform the world. The magic of this season, regardless of whether it happened in December or April, doesn't matter. The true magic and miracle is that one person was able to take an already established set of teachings, revise them, share them in such a way that we not only realize our humanity, but we discover our divinity. This is what we are truly celebrating this season. Yes, the birth of one of the planet's greatest spiritual teachers, but also our own awakening as divine lights. That same Christ essence that reside in Jesus, who in unity we call the way shower. He showed us what it meant to live from the fullness of our divinity. This is what we're celebrating, our own awakening. And it doesn't just happen in a single moment. It happens every time we choose light over darkness. We choose love over hate. We choose compassion over greed. We choose abundance over lack. Every time we put another before ourselves, we are birthing. We are birthing a new expression of the divine within us and in the world. So my invitation to you this week is, as you begin and ramp up your Christmas celebrations, every time you hear a piece about the wise men, you sing We Three Kings, you see the star, remember to first have hope. Let that hope lead you to a deeper, grounded faith that each and every one of us is bringing the Christ light, the divine light, God, love, into this world. And so it is. Let's take this into a time of meditation. So I invite you to take a deep breath, plant both feet on the floor. If you're comfortable, gently closing the eyes. And allow the breath to take you into your hearts. For a few moments, let us simply breathe. And in the stillness of this breath, we reside in the true knowing that from that place of deep faith as divine beings, we are the hope of the world. From that place, beyond the labels of who we are, to the truth of what we are, which is spirit. We reside in the truth that in each and every moment, we are divinely guided in faith to be all that we seek. In faith, I am the hope for the world. In faith, I am the hope for the world. Let us hold that as our truth. Let us hold that as our star. Let's rest in faith for a few moments in the silence. In faith, I am the hope for the world. Let us hold that affirmation for ourselves and for all our names and circumstances in our prayer box. Let us affirm that each of these individuals, each of these situations, be transformed from that place of desperation and need to the realization of faith. And should you hold that intention for anyone else, I invite you to say their names out loud now. For ourselves, we hold this too. That regardless of where we are, that through hope, we come to the deepest of faiths. That there is nothing that is impossible through the awakening of the Christ within each and every one of us. And so it is, and so we let it be.
In the silence I shall go. In the stillness there's a knowing. In the presence of divine love, I am loved. I am loved. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah. In the silence I shall go. In the stillness there's a knowing. In the presence of divine love, I am loved. I am loved. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah. Shemaiah, 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 Shemaiah,
Thank you, Reverend Ogun. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our prayer chaplains that are serving today. If you could please stand. The prayer chaplains are here for you to pray with you for a need that you may have, or for gratitude, or any other kind of prayer request. And the prayers are always held in the strictest of confidence. You can sit with them after the service. Thank you for being here today. Also, if you have a need, we have home and hospital prayer chaplains. I see Nancy's here. Anybody else from that team? And Catherine and Annie. So if there's a need for someone to have a visit for prayer, please see one of these team members. You can also submit your prayer requests in the prayer box in the back, or call our prayer phone line, and where you can leave a request. And our prayer team prays over your requests, and we also send them on to Silent Unity. Now it's time to affirm our tithes and gifts. If you could please take out your donations and breathe into them the energy of abundance and prosperity as we say together our affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Would the ushers come forward? And now we have our offering song.
When you don't know where you're going, hardly know where you've been. You're worried and frightened and feeling you've nowhere to turn to. All you need is a little faith, a little hope, lots of love. No one said life would be easy. We all have pain and broken hearts. And when your soul longs for comfort, all you need is a little faith. faith, a little faith, a little hope, a little hope, lots of love. You can believe life is full of mystery. Miracles happen every day. Take a deep breath and breathe out a prayer, and you will find peace inside. Take it away. You can believe life is full of mystery. Miracles happen every day. Take a deep breath and breathe out a prayer, and you will find peace inside. So when you're feeling much better, be grateful your spirit is at ease. The next time you're facing a challenge, just remember all you need is a little faith, a little faith, a little hope, a little hope, lots of love. A little faith, a little faith, a little hope, a little hope, lots of love. A little faith, a little faith, a little hope, a little hope, lots of love. A little faith, a little faith, a little hope, a little hope, lots of love.
Thank you, Brian. Nicely done. Let's take a moment, turn within to a place of gratitude and abundance in our hearts for these gifts. So however you gave, whether it's in here, whether you gave online, whether you mailed in a gift or of an automatic withdrawal setup, however you have chosen to invest and give to your spiritual community so that we can continue to create this space for the unfolding of your divine self. We are grateful. We give thanks. And then following that spiritual practice, we tie the portion of these gifts back into the Amesbury community, to the Water Unity movement, and continue being in the flow. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen.
Amen.
And amen. Thank you. One thing I want to draw your attention to, on December 16th after service, I'm going to be facilitating a group I've traditionally called Home for the Holidays. During this time of year, the holidays can be a trigger for some of us who are going through grief, who are experiencing sadness at this time, as well as the usual Christmas joys. So if this applies to you and you want to share a safe space with others who are walking a similar journey, come share some stories, come share some tears, come share some laughter. So it'll be December 16th in the Oneness Room after service. As you know, this community, we've had a couple of losses over the past month or so. Some of you who've been members of this community going a few years back might remember Goldie Kimball. If you do, I just got word this morning that she also passed away recently as well. She'd moved away to Florida, I understand, some years ago, before my time. But you know, this is kind of the bittersweetness of loving another and having another as part of your family and your community. So mark your calendars for that, December 16th. In the past, I've had them a couple of times during the week, but it's been difficult for people to get to them. So this year, I'm doing it after service on the 16th. So thank you for all of those of you who want to take part in that. And I know Michelle's got some other announcements too.
It takes so many people to give of their time and talent for our service every Sunday, so thank you to all who volunteer, and thank you to our music team. Thank you, Meg and Brian, who are filling in. And of course, as always, our choir. We have some special thank yous this week. Jim, Keith, Brian, Malik, Lacey, Susan, everyone who helped out with the potluck on Thanksgiving Eve and the open mic, and to those who helped out with October Craig's service last Saturday. Especially we want to thank the folding team, our hospitality team, and please, whenever you feel so moved, bring food in for hospitality. We will welcome any food donations that you can bring in every Sunday. And to our altar team, beautiful display this month. If any board members are here, I'd ask you to stand so we can acknowledge you. And they are always available after service if you have any questions or want to discuss anything with them. As Meg mentioned earlier, our Wednesday night service this week will be with her and Manny Muros, who will be doing a samadhi and meditation service. So please come on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It's a quieter service that day. And now it's time for the big song, This Train.
We got a train for y'all. How about it? Well, now this train is bound for glory. This train is bound for glory. This train, well, now this train bound for glory. And we got hope, holy. This train is bound for glory. This train. Now this train don't carry no gamblers, this train don't carry no gamblers, this train don't carry no gamblers, lies, thieves, big shot ramblers, this train, bound for glory, this train, gee.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now we welcome in the children. We are walking in the light.
Presence. So I just have to share with you that many of us were flossing in the light of God instead of walking with the light of God right there before we came in. So today we actually discussed the 5 principles, the Unity 5 principles. What a lot of people don't realize in this beautiful space that we share, this amazing Unity on the River, is that one of the things that we share in common with Unity churches across the entire country, if not the world, are these 5 principles. So we got into those a little bit today. The other thing I want to remind you about is the giving tree. If you've taken a tag, they're due next Sunday, unwrapped. Please return them with the tag if you have it. Additionally, there's about 21 tags left for people to take. I'll be seated at a table near there. If you'll please come see me, and we'll, as a community, handle the rest of those requests. That's it. Thank you.
And remember, the giving tree is our opportunity to provide gifts for children who may be in less than ideal circumstances in their lives right now, and in some cases this might be the only thing resembling a holiday, a gift that they might be receiving. So if you've not taken a tag from the tree yet, I invite you to open up your hearts and go be generous, go be given, go display some of that abundance, be in that, just be in the joy of the holidays. So I invite you to stand now, take the hand of your neighbor. Let us affirm the truth for these children. And thank you, Malik, for reminding me the last thing. So when we thanked the board earlier, I forgot to mention, if there's anyone who might be thinking about wanting to serve in a bigger way here, if you're a member and you want to consider joining the board, the leadership team that helps guide and navigate the spiritual community, please see Malik afterwards, and he will give you some more information about that. It's very important because, people often say, this is Reverend Ogun Church. No, it's not. I work for you. I work for you, and you are represented by the board. I report to the board of trustees, who is members of you. This is a community-led and directed church. So we hope that we can get as many voices as we can of you on the board. It's not a heavy time commitment, and it's a great way to serve. So talk to Malik after service. Now, let's get some peace on earth. Yeah.
All
Go walk in faith.